Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Using Subscription Management to Better Target Email Sends. My name is Erin Hannaford, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Marissa Bryant. Marissa is on our training team, and she will be taking over in just a little bit to share today's demo. Before we get into the meat of the presentation, let's go over what we're going to talk about. So we'll cover just a few housekeeping items, and then we'll spend some time discussing what subscription management is and why it should matter to you. I'll turn things over to Marissa, who will walk through an actual use case demo within the ClickDimensions platform to show you just how subscription management works. And we've saved some time at the end for Q&A. Marissa, if you want to go to the next slide, before we start diving into our content, I want to make sure that everyone is aware that this is the first in a 4 series of webinars around tips and tricks for using ClickDimensions in your multi-channel marketing programs. Today we'll be talking about subscription management, but every other Thursday through the remainder of this year, we will have a different use case webinar focused on different features of the ClickDimensions platform. In upcoming webinars, we'll cover campaign automation in conjunction with event management. We'll talk about social media and how you can use it to drive sales. And then we'll touch on using landing pages and forms to capture leads. I encourage you to consider signing up for any of these webinars that might be interesting to you. A couple quick housekeeping items. We are recording this session, and the link to the recording will be sent via an email follow-up after the webinar concludes. I mentioned that we've saved some time for Q&A. Both the chat and questions functionality in the GoToWebinar platform panel are open for you to use and type in your questions throughout the course of the webinar. You don't need to hold your questions until the end. All of your lines are muted, so you will have to type in your question. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Marissa, if you would like to go to the next slide. It's no surprise to everybody that we are living in a digital world. And over the past 2 years, especially, we've seen the reliance on digital communications grow and grow. The batch and blast, one-size-fits-all emails where everyone in your database gets the same email every time you send it isn't going to move the needle anymore. We know that audiences want choices and they want control over the types of communications that they get and the experiences they have interacting with your brand. That's where subscription management can come in. So let's talk about a little bit about what exactly is subscription management. Marissa, if you want to go forward. Subscription management is a process that allows your audience to have control over the types of emails and content that they receive from you. It gives that control to the recipients. It allows you to send more targeted and relevant messages. This is typically managed through what's known as a preference center. A preference center is often created via a landing page that allows you to select or deselect from various types of communications that you want or don't want to receive. A couple examples of the types of communications that you might see listed on a preference center include newsletter subscriptions, event notifications, product update notifications, perhaps sale notifications or promotion notifications. So there could be an instance where someone on your contact list is interested in knowing about your webinars and events that you're holding, but they're not so interested in receiving a monthly newsletter. Having a preference center or a subscription management page gives them the ability to control what it is that they receive. It's also a critical component of permission-based marketing, which is becoming more and more important. Marissa, if we move on to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about why subscription management matters to marketers. and why we're seeing it become increasingly more important. So we talked a little bit about how we are living in a predominantly digital world. And if your inboxes are anything like my inboxes, you know that there's a lot of digital noise around us, right? We are getting emails to our personal email addresses, to our business email addresses. We're getting notifications from social media. There's a lot of noise for people to sort through to find what's relevant to them. So having a subscription management process where you give control to your audience allows you to be more relevant and more targeted and rise above that digital noise. It also helps to increase engagement across all of the email metrics that you care about, whether those are open rates, click-through rates, conversion rates, actual purchases. All of those metrics tend to increase when we are sending our audience what they have asked to be sent. It decreases unsubscribes. It helps to foster loyalty across your audience, and it supports compliance. Not just GDPR or CAN spam, but all of the potential regulations that we continue to hear coming up around email communication and digital communication and the importance of permission-based marketing. Let's talk about a couple best practices for subscription management. Marissa, if you want to, thank you. So when we think about having a subscription management process, there are a couple key things to keep in mind. You want to keep the process simple and straightforward. You want to clearly define the types of communications that people can subscribe to and make it easy to select or deselect those. You want to make your sign-up page or your preference center easily accessible in your emails to allow for preference changes over time. So, just as you have changing interests from time to time, your audience does too. They might say that they're not interested in receiving your newsletter on day one, but as they have more and more experiences with your brand, their interest could change and they may want that newsletter. So providing easy access to your preference center or your subscription management page allows for those changes. Next, you want to make sure that you're doing what you're saying you're going to do. You have to honor the subscriptions and not send them something that they didn't sign up for. If you say on your subscription management page that the newsletter they sign up for is sent on the 1st of the month, then you need to send it on the 1st of the month. You need to meet the expectations that you have set for them, because that's what's going to help increase their engagement with your communications and your brand. And finally, you want to consider alternatives and remember that subscription management goes beyond email. If you have a campaign that includes SMS or text messages, subscription management should be part of that as well. And then you want to think about the other communication channels. Social, for example. Perhaps someone's not ready to sign up to receive regular communications for you. But if you have social links on your subscription management page or your preference center that you're encouraging them to follow you on those channels, it gives them a chance to continue to interact with your brand before making that commitment to sign up and receive communications from you. It works the opposite way too. If someone's coming to unsubscribe, you want to provide them with those alternatives for staying in touch with your brand that are outside of email. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Marissa, who's going to walk through our demo. Oh, actually, I apologize, Marissa. I did want to touch on a couple quick resources that are available for ClickDimensions customers to take advantage of. In our recently updated ClickDimensions Academy, we have 2 101 level courses, one on subscription management and another on email marketing. Both of those courses will provide a great foundational level understanding of everything we're going to talk through today. And then in the ClickDimensions resource library on our website, we have a quick guide to subscription management that walks through some of the tips and tricks in greater detail than we just touched on. So I would encourage you to take some time to check out all of those resources. Marissa, take it away.
Alrighty, so let's end this slideshow, and here we are to my screen. Okay, so today we'll set up a subscription management page and place that page in a ClickDimensions email, and then go over sending emails based on your recipient's preferences. So to start, we'll create a subscription management page, and let's navigate to the web and events area. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to scroll down to the subscriptions section and select subscription pages. We'll create a subscription page by clicking on the new button in the top menu. My page today will be for our example motorcycle distribution company, Troximo. So in this new web content record, I'm going to fill out some of the needed fields. So the first is the name. So let me grab that. Oh, sorry. Then the next thing we'll do is for type, I'll select subscription. Then for domain, I'm going to insert a domain record that I've previously set up. And then for the create new visitor as field, I'm going to leave this set to leads so that new folks are created in our CRM as lead records. Now I will click the save button to save this record, and then we're ready to click the design button up top to open up a pop-up of our designer window. And I'm going to let that load and resize it for our screen. All right, so here we have the subscription designer. And the first thing that we do here is add subscription lists to our page. So our audience, being email recipients, can opt in or out of our communication topics. And by default, when your ClickDimensions solution is new, you won't have any subscription list in this right-hand sidebar. So I'll show you how to create a subscription list to use on your subscription page. And once created, they'll appear in this designer's list sidebar over here to the right. So we will need to move away from this designer to create the subscription lists. So let's go back into CRM. And here in CRM, in the web and events area, I'm going to select subscription list in that subscription section. So for us to create a subscription list, we'll click the new button up top. And then in this subscription list record, we'll insert a name for the subscription list. So let me grab that. As for owner, it's just going to fill out who's ever creating the subscription list, and it's currently me. So now we will save this record. And once the record is saved, a marketing list subgrid appears so that we can now associate a CRM marketing list to this subscription list. ClickDimensions subscription lists coincide with the marketing list that your company has set up to send out communications. The subscription list is essentially a container of the marketing list for use on a subscription management page. So here we can either look up an existing marketing list or create a new one from here. I'm going to look up one that I've previously set up by selecting the Add Existing Marketing List button. And I can then search for my list. And I'm actually going to add two marketing lists here, one for contacts and one for leads. I do see my leads one already show up, so then let me look for my contact one, and there it is. By selecting that, I'll then click the add button. So once selected, and give it a little bit to show up there. Once selected, the marketing list will then appear in the subgrid, and it's now associated to the subscription list. So now we have both of our promotions subscribers marketing lists associated to our promotions subscription list. So we'll click the save button in this record again, and keep in mind for each topic that your company sends communications about, you would repeat this process to make a subscription list for. So now we'll go find the newly created subscription list in our subscription page designer. And since I previously have had that designer already open, I'm going to reload it so that our subscription list will show on the right-hand side. And there we go. All right, so now I'm going to search for that list. And I see it, so I'm going to drag it over to the page, and then I'm going to drag over 3 more subscription lists that I've previously set up. So with our lists added to the page, we can now add some other elements. On the right sidebar, I'm going to switch it from list to components, and I'll add some to our page here around the lists to show you how you could use them to complete the page, but I won't go into details of formatting each component here like you usually would. So first thing I'm going to do is add an HTML component to the top of the page, and that's where I'd have like a header image. And then I'm going to add an unsubscribe all component, and that provides our recipient an option to opt out from all communication. Next, I'm going to add the necessary email component to this to allow our viewers to put in their email address. And lastly, I will add a Google CAPTCHA component to the bottom of the page as a security measure. So then let's go ahead and click the Save button for this designer. And then I can exit out of this designer window as I'm done with the page. So with the subscription page built out, now I'll go through how to go live with the subscription page by inserting it into one of our ClickDimensions emails. So back in CRM here, I'm going to navigate to the messaging area. And then in the email section, I'll select templates. And I already have an email template set up that I can add our subscription page to. So I'm just going to search for that in the search bar. And by double clicking into that template, in this record, I'll then click on the email editor tab to then edit the email template content. And while it loads, I do want to add my subscription page link to this email's footer. So I'll scroll down to the bottom of the template, and I have designed this template using our drag and drop editor. So I've already inserted the text here. And actually it looks like, let's remove that. All right, so you can see where it says click here to update your subscription preferences. And the word here is what I would like to hyperlink. So I'm going to choose or highlight the word here. And then over on the right-hand sidebar, I'm going to select the link button. In doing that, I will change the select link type from website URL to unsubscribe. For the select subscription type, I'm going to change it from global to subscription management. Doing that lets me see all of the created subscription pages appear. So I'm going to scroll through to find mine. Selecting that, I'll then click the Insert Link button. And we can see that the word here is now hyperlinked. So when email recipients receive the email, they can click on that link to update their preferences. So let me show you what the linked subscription page looks like for an email recipient, and I'll drag on over now. So here in the email, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where I then can click on the Update Preferences link, and it will have a subscription management page open in an internet browser. And this is what your email recipients will see when they click on that link. So now that you know how to create a subscription page and link it in your email, the next thing that we'll cover is using the submitted subscription preferences, specifically the opt-ins. So when your submissions come into CRM, the opt-outs are automatically taken care of with unsubscribe records, but for the opt-ins, you will want to get those subscribers added to the related marketing list. Some automated ways of doing that are creating a ClickDimensions campaign automation, using the actions in our subscription designer, or creating a CRM flow. As for manual adding of subscribers to a marketing list, I'm going to go through a way to create one for a specific communication topic, like our promotion subscribers, for instance, the folks who opted in to receive messages about promotions. To make sure that they get the emails about the promotional content that they want, we create a marketing list containing them. So I'm going to show you just how to do that. So in CRM, I'll go back to that tab. Let's navigate to the audience area, and actually I'm going to save this because I know it's going to want me to do that. And then I will navigate to the messaging or to the audience area. So there's the audience area, and from there I'll select marketing lists. And for us to create a new one, I'll click the new button up top. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a name for this marketing list. So let me grab that, paste that in. For list type, I'm going to leave this as a static marketing list, but you could make it dynamic so it continually updates. Then for purpose, this is really just for internal insight, just to know what the marketing list is for, but I'm going to insert a value there. Then for the targeted at field, I'm going to have it set to contacts, as I would like this contact or this marketing list made up of contacts. And at that point, then we can click the save button for this record. So now let's add some members by clicking on the down arrow next to the Manage Members button. And doing that will give you some options on ways to add members to a marketing list. And I'm going to select Add using Advanced Find. So this allows me to find members based on a criteria. So I want to find contacts who have filled out a specific subscription page and opted into receiving emails about Troximo promotions via our promotion subscription list. So the first thing that I'm going to do is click the Add button and then select Add Related Entity, which allows me to look for the posted subscription entity. So in that drop down, that's just what I'll do. So by selecting that, additional drop-down boxes will appear. And now I can specify which subscription page I want to know was filled out by selecting subscription page in this first drop-down. For the next drop-down, I'm going to leave it set to equals. And now I'm going to search for my subscription page. All right, so then we'll click the Add button again, and I will choose Add Related Entity. And this lets me specify from the posted preference entity which subscription list and preference type we are looking for. So in the drop-down, I'm going to select the posted preference entity. Next, I can choose subscription list in the first drop-down. I'll leave the next set to equals. And then in the next drop down, I will look for our subscription list. So let's type that in. All right, I'll select that. So the next thing I'll do is then click on the Add button again, and this time select Add Row. And in the field, I'm going to select Preference. I'll leave the next one set to equals, and the preference that we are looking for is the in preference. So with that, we have our criteria set for the marketing list members. It will search for contacts who have a posted subscription record for our Troximo subscription page where they opted into the Troximo promotions list. So now we'll click on the Find button, and the contacts it finds meets our criteria at this moment. And then you have the option to add some of the contacts it found or all of them. And I'm going to select the Add All button so that all of the found contacts are added as list members. So we'll wait for that to be processed. All right, so back in the marketing list record, we can see the added members by clicking on the Members tab. And it might just need a little bit to refresh here. And there we go. So now we see the members that have been added to this marketing list from the query that we ran. So now in this promotions subscribers marketing list can be added to the next promotional email that we send. And don't forget to insert your subscription page into that email's footer so that your email recipients have the option to opt in to other subscription lists or even opt out of this one if they wish. All right, thank you guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Marissa. We have had a number of questions come in and we have time to get to a couple. If your question was specific to your instance of ClickDimensions, we will have your customer success manager reach out and follow up about the specific question that you brought up. And similarly, if we don't get to your question, we will have your success manager reach out to follow up as well. So the first most frequent question is, will we share this content? And yes, we absolutely will. This webinar has been recorded and we will share the recording with you. And again, there is a subscription management 101 course that discusses all of this available in our ClickDimensions Academy. Marissa, a couple questions here for you. Is there a limit to the number of subscription lists someone can have?
No, there is currently no limit on how many subscription lists that you can create. So if you can think of them, you can create them.
Excellent. And a related question, can more than one marketing list be associated to a subscription list?
Yes, it can. So as we saw in my demo, I added two marketing lists to our subscription list, and it was one for leads and one for contacts. So you can add more than one list, more than one marketing list to a subscription list when needed.
Excellent. Well, that brings us to the end of our time today. Marissa, thank you so much for going through such a detailed demo. Judging by the comments that are coming in, everyone has really learned some things today. Again, this recording will be shared on behalf of Marissa and myself. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we hope to see you on the 3 remaining webinars in this series. Thank you.